Yeah, man. So what you was saying about Punk? Because that was a travesty. That was the most anticlimactic grand finals. Ending Street Fighter Five. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like he came over there. I get the idea why he came over there because he was like, well, back in 2017, he came this close to winning. That could have catapulted his career to new heights. He was still being lauded. You know what I mean? Amongst players, as the guy. But then as the seasons went by, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? So basically, he was trying to, re-up his name, because everybody was like, well, Evo Japan, this is the very last time that you're gonna have a significant, tournament for Street Fighter V Champion Edition, and so he went over there to partake in that. And what happened was,
I didn't know he was there until last night.
Yeah, so he was there, primarily to partake in. He wanted to win in both Guilty Gear Strive and SF5 Champion Edition, and he made it much further in SF5, of course. But when he faced up against Momochi, for some reason he thought that it was going to be easy for him. and Momochi, Momochi beat him. Yeah, Momochi beat him clean. And the thing about it was, see, Punk.
I didn't understand why you picked Vega though. That you self-sabotaged yourself.
The thing was that the thing about he just it's the same old thing that's been going on. Like I've been saying for the longest time. Like ever since the late 1990s. But really, this started to happen really after 1999 was when this started to happen, was that American fighting game players deferred to solely system mechanics instead of, instead of the strategy.
They lack, these American players lack strategy. That's why I brought up Arslan Ash and how he won, and people say he's boring to why?
Yeah,
but he has a strategy though.
It's a strategy.
He has a strategy of playing. I didn't mind it. If it works and people are not adjusting to your play style, then keep doing it.
Right. At the end of the day, it's a strategy, and that's what. So
Arslan Ash deserved to win Tekken 7 because he got it down.
Right, because while they both complained about the display issues, Arslan Ash, actually won Tekken 7, and Punk didn't even win a round. So the
3-0, by the way.
So there's
ain't no way.
So there's your answer right there.
There's your answer.
One of them had a strategy, the other one did not.
Yeah, I get the whole input lag and stuff, but that Sony End-Zone monitors was made for PS5 specifically, not PS4. So it's gonna be a lot more input lag than the PS5.
Right. So, well, my thing is that but strategy will negate that. That's what I'm saying. Because see, the thing is that American players have increasingly become so dependent on what we used to call back then the technology, right? Meaning the numbers, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing. It's like what's going on in sports with analytics, right? It's like, sports writers would say, Nikola Jokic, is the best center of all time, according to the analytics. But anybody who's actually watched the games, you're not going to convince, anybody who's watched basketball for the last 20 years that Jokic is the best center of all time. Because they're going to bring up, Shaq, Akeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing. You know what I mean? You're going to bring up those guys, Tim Duncan. They're going to bring up those guys. Even though, Tim Duncan he's listed as a power forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Greg Popovich, Greg Popovich, he let it slip via a magazine that he was actually a center. And so, but those big guys from then, and
Right.
The thing with these guys nowadays is that they rely solely, dependent on numbers, because you always hear people say, "Well, I can't react to this," or "I can't react to that." You know what I mean?
It's negative 15 on block, but
Right. That's what happened with Sanford Kelly, right? The reason why Sanford Kelly, doesn't compete anymore is because that's always been his thing. His thing has always been, he's always been a reactionary player, and that's what has actually happened to American players. Like Sanford was one of the first players.
Yep, I agree.
To unfortunately transition from a player of strategy to a player of reaction, right? It's like, okay, well, if you do this, I'm always going to react with this. And this is why most American players cannot play Virtua Fighter.
Yep.
Because Virtua Fighter does not allow you to solely depend on a one-track mindset.
Yeah, you gotta have the whole package.
Right, you gotta.
That's why I've been trying to tell these FGC maggots.
Right, you gotta have the full fundamentals. And that's just not a fighting. That's just really in any game.
Yeah, any game.
You look nowadays. People complain when it comes to games like Wolong. You know what I mean? But on the other hand, guys like games like God of War Ragnarok practically hold your hand throughout the entire game. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, it's just like the people today, man. It's just the players today, man. You know what I mean? Here, at the very least, man, these guys are soft. You know what I mean?
They are.
It's not really just a gaming thing. It's a society thing.
It really is. It's really the society thing. It's the land of insanity. It's the garden of insanity. It's
it's in everything. You look
crazy in the hood.
It's like LeBron, he made it to 8 finals, right? And the thing about the question is, okay, well, did he win 8 finals? Well, no, but it's getting there. It's just as important as winning. No, that's not. It's all about winning.
Yeah, it's not like it's these days. Not about winning the gold. It's all about having the moment.
Right, exactly. It's like you look at the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant. Dylan Brooks, and those guys. You know what I mean? Yeah, they have great highlight moments, but that's it. You know what I mean? And that's why many people today don't know real success, because real success is
when you're winning.
It's based off consistency.
Right. Based on you winning in life.
Right. That's what real success is. You know what I mean? It's like people look at, it's like there is no rivalry between Golden State versus Memphis Grizzlies. It's like, Memphis, they give you great moments, but the Golden State Warriors, they're the ones out here winning championships. And that's what matters at the end of the day. It's not, oh man, look at this, TikTok moment, oh man, John Morant, man, he posterized, so and so. Okay, that's a good moment, but in this sport, as in anything competition, it's about winning. It's about winning. It's like, take for example, overall in gaming, right? In gaming, the media always tries to keep Xbox in the conversation, right? It's like, oh man, recently, PS5, broke the record, for the month of February, all time, selling over 533,000 units in the United States alone, right? Via Circana, right? Formerly NPD, right? And then in response to that, the media's like, well, see, the thing is, we hear that the PSVR 2, which just came out, by the way, is not selling as well as reported, right? You know what I mean? And so,
they'll break their necks to say that.
Right. So it's a duck, and then
But
meanwhile,
when it comes to Xbox, they quiet.
right? Exactly, and it's like you look at the top 20, games sold and stuff like that, and they're trying to keep Xbox in the conversation because it's the participation trophy mentality. It's like, well, Xbox is here, so it's automatically entitled to everything that Sony and Nintendo have laid the foundation for, just simply because Xbox is there. You know what I mean? It's like, over the Evo Japan 2023, weekend, what happened was that you had the announcement of the King of Fighters 13 global match, right?
Right.
And it was announced for PS4 and Switch, right? And they're like, oh man, no PC, no Xbox version. And I'm like, well, you guys don't buy games, okay? But yet
y'all really don't. Y'all rely on Game Pass.
Right. But yet they feel, because the thing about it was, SNK already gave Xbox a shot.
Sure did.
Because they gave Xbox an exclusive version of Samurai Showdown 2019 with 120 hertz, frame rate. It's the world's first fighting game to run at 120 hertz, right? So Xbox Series is still currently the only platform that has a current gen entry version of Samurai Showdown. All right, there is no PS5 version of Samurai Showdown. That game obviously did not do well.
It didn't sell well on Xbox.
And so basically, when it came to King of Fighters 13 global match, they're like, well, we're going to support the platforms in which people are actually supportive of. You know what I mean? And so,
which does make logical sense.
Right, and people are going back to this whole, well, why is it that Square Enix, when they're announcing games, why is there no Xbox version?
Let me tell you something about that, guys. For those of you who are watching, Square Enix is not letting that fiasco they had with Microsoft for Final Fantasy 13 go. They'll never let it go. They'll never let it go. Okay, that's why. That's why Final Fantasy 16 is not on Xbox.
Right. It's like it sold 2-1 on PS3, despite the fact of PS3 being $5.99. Well, actually $4.99. When it dropped, by then it was $3.99. It was $3.99 by the time it came out. But on a system that was initially $5.99, the PS3 version outsold the 360 version by 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Here in North America alone, okay. And so now they're trying to recycle where it's like, you know what I mean? So it's the participation,
the E for effort.
Right. All in all, it all comes down to people not wanting to feel, left out. You know what I mean? That's a thing nowadays. It's like,
fear of missing out. I know.
Yeah, the fear of missing out. It's like, okay, man, I'm not part. I need to be a part of this. You know what I mean?
Well, get the systems. I got all the systems.
Right, exactly.
I got all the systems, bro. I got 2 Xbox Series X's.
Yeah, it's like if
one collecting dust right now.
Yeah, it's like it's all about not being left out. That's how people feel right now. It's like, okay, hey, man, I don't want to be feeling left
and a
out.
PC.
Right, and so that's just what that is. Nowadays, people just have this participation trophy, mentality when it comes to things. You have, all this going on. But going back to what I was saying about the Evo Japan.
Yeah,
so Punk, he lost clean. And it's funny because, it's life imitating art. You know what I mean? Because he named himself after,
CM Punk.
Yeah, CM Punk. And CM Punk is regarded in wrestling as the absolute most scumbag motherfucker out there right now. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. This guy fucking during a medium scrum, you know what I mean, a media, meeting, after a pay-per-view event, he shit on everybody in the locker room, you know what I mean, while the boss, Tony Khan was right next to him. And then, of course, he went to the back, and then, there was an altercation that took place. And so, basically, they suspended, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, some other guy, and then CM Punk. And then, then it turned out that CM Punk, made up a lot of what happened, what went down when he did the investigation. And so, now it's because currently what's going on right now in AEW is that there's a big debate as to whether CM Punk should be allowed back to AEW. And what's happening is that a lot of the younger talent, really don't care whether he's back or not, because they're looking at it, okay, man, he's a big draw, you know what I mean? He's gonna make AEW money and stuff like that, which means they're gonna make money. Whereas, it's the older guys, the veterans of the business, you know what I mean? Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, you know what I mean? Those guys who look at CM Punk as, hey man, everywhere you went, you've been a problem, right? And so, that's what just seems to, so that's what's going on right now, you know what I mean? And then, earlier last week, CM Punk, posted, a message on Instagram, and then he deleted it, but, people immediately, screenshot it, and, basically he talked about the squash match with Jon Moxley on an episode of AEW Dynamite and stuff like that. But the thing about it was, it's and then of course, CM Punk, he overrates himself bigger, than he really is. You know what I mean? It's the special move, right? It's like the special move that he uses. You know what I mean? To go to sleep. He stole that from Kenta. You know what I mean? And he's been ducking Kenta for all the time. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, when he was at AEW, Kenta challenged CM Punk to a match at last year's Forbidden Door pay-per-view event. Basically it's a cross promotion event between All Elite Wrestling AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling, in which basically so, and the term Forbidden Door came from, of course, legendary Hiroshi Tanahashi, because AEW was formed by former New Japan guys, and things kind of, you know what I mean? The history is there, you know what I mean? AEW actually, it was actually born on Twitter between a tweet discussion between Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio and, Cody Rhodes, who is scheduled to fight at WrestleMania 39 in a couple of hours for the championship. But the thing about it is, against Roman Reigns, and but he named himself after CM Punk, and it's basically his life imitating art. You know what I mean? It's CM Punk has always been seen as this guy who,
he's a sore loser.
Right, sore loser.
He's a sore loser.
He's almost there. He can never quite make the big one. He's always come up with excuses for not winning. You know what I mean? When he went to UFC, man, he got,
he got his ass
launched, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so then we came back. He came back to AEW. His name, you know what I mean, was drawing people into AEW and stuff like that. But then, he just didn't get along with people in the back, you know what I mean? And so that's just what that is, you know what I mean? And so it's basically it's life imitating art. You know what I mean? Who can forget the promo that John Moxley cut on CM Punk? You know what I mean? He was like, weak body, weak mind, weak spirit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a shoot. I mean, that wasn't no, that wasn't no stage. That was a shoot promo. And so there was definitely some shit going on back there. And so it's unfortunate that this CM Punk now, this player, Punk, he's basically like imitating the real CM Punk, in which CM Punk, he's always looked at as somewhat of a sore loser. You know what I mean? Like, for example, at last year's Forbidden Door, he got challenged by Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW Championship, and then all of a sudden, magically, CM Punk, called in and said he was hurt. And so they took him off the card and they replaced him with John Moxley. And so John Moxley was then, John Moxley then fought, Tanahashi for the AEW Championship. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's just like, man, when I look at this, I'm like, wow, it's life imitating art. You know what I mean? It's like this dude Punk, he basically held up the entire event because he got washed. Because when they resumed the event, you know what I mean, he didn't do anything different. It went exactly the same way. It went exactly the same.
Yeah. I bet Momochi was pissed off, but he was complaining about it too. But he was like, let's get this show rolling about the input lag,
Right, but the ironic thing about it was that, so back in 2015, when he went up against Gamer B, there was a legit issue with the joystick.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why for example, that's why I would say just drop unlicensed controls, period. You know what I mean? That's how you solve the problem. That's how you solve the problem. You know what I mean?
You see, Capcom was like, no with this hitbox stuff.
Right.
Which I'm gonna make a separate video about that. Cause I'm just like, yes, do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just it's interesting how that's all come about. It's real interesting how that's all come about. But it's I mean, overall, man, it's overall, man, it's something, man. You know what I mean? And overall, man, it's it's just like I said, I can't state it enough. It's just life imitating art. This motherfucker, Punk, he's trying to be controversial, just like the real CM Punk. And I would advise Punk to look at what's going on now with real CM Punk, because it's not going well for real CM Punk. Just like how it's not going well for him right now.
Yeah, he getting chewed up right now. He trending on Twitter right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because
I really have nothing to say. It's just that I'm seeing this in real time that, these American FGC players, they all about the moment and it ain't about the bag. It ain't about, winning being consistent.
Right, it's like you look at what happened last year.
Great player, but the mentality isn't there.
It's like, like, for example, the whole thing of, because the thing about it is, so the American commentators want to give him credit for doing sync confirms in Street Fighter 5, and that's not true. Because as a matter of fact, it was Momochi, ironically, who basically started the whole Sim Confirm, phenomenon in Street Fighter Five. Mm-hmm. That came from Momochi.
Yeah, it did.
That didn't came from Punk. You saw it at Evo 2017 because Punk was doing it on stage, and his character, Kairi got him further than Momochi's Ken did. And that's because, Kairi was a better character as was discovered. It's like basically, Kairi's, Sim Confirms are better than Ken's Sim Confirms. But Momochi was the one that started the whole Sim Confirm shit. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
He even made a tutorial about it, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And so it's just life imitating art, and they just need to give it a rest. I mean, it's like, come on, man. It's like these guys need to give it a rest. That's not what it is. You know what I mean? And if he thinks that he's going to do well in Street Fighter 6, man, it's not going to go well for him. You know what I mean? It's just not, because Street Fighter 6 has a return to system mechanics, full system mechanics, and so basically, he who has the better strategy is going to win. You know what I mean? And he's never going to learn. As a matter of fact, I remember years ago, Shelton on Facebook stated, because Shelton knew of Punk before he became popular in Street Fighter V. And Shelton said, you can ask him. Shelton will tell you that Punk was exactly the same way back in Street Fighter 4.
He was.
Every time.
I knew that. I knew that for sure. I knew that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it was, and so that's what that is, you know what I mean? So and I'm seeing on Twitter how people are trying to use what's going on with Punk as a way to berate Evo Japan. Like, first of all, motherfucker, nobody told you to come to Japan anyway. You came on your own volition. Okay.
Sure did. You wanted to compete. Hey, you want to compete on their turf? You better make some noise.
Yeah, you better.
I mean, he got top 8. Didn't he? Did he not?
Hey, you better do your research. Because I just don't understand this mentality where these guys think that, well, I'm American, so basically everything should come. That's not how the world works. Okay? That's not. American exceptionalism is a bunch of propaganda bullshit. It is not true, okay? And so these motherfuckers thought that when they went to Japan, that all of a sudden, you think you was going to win just because you're an American? You know what I mean?
Nah, them Japanese will make it harder for you, man.
Right, it's like, you feel like you don't need to put in the work, You feel that because you beat your friends and some people because you can look at the numbers, man. You can react, better than, your friends can. You know what I mean? You think that shit was going to fly by Japan? You think he was going to come over there, motherfucker, with no strategy? You know what I mean? What the hell is that?
Right.
What is that? That's like going to a job interview and not knowing anything about the company who you're trying to apply for. You go to a job interview, and the interviewer asks you, okay, who's the current president of the company? You don't know, man. Hey, man, you might as well go ahead and start, looking at your phone, right now, for something else. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. These guys today,
and that's what he was doing while we was waiting and for them to get another monitor.
And he got his ass whipped even worse. Like, he was just lying. He was just straight up lying because he was reacting to everything that Momochi was doing. His gameplay didn't change at all. He certainly didn't have any strategy. His strategy, whatever the fuck he thought it was, didn't change at all. It was basically, here's his strategy. Oh, I'm going to react to what Momochi's doing, do a max damage combo, and then hopefully, put pressure on him to do it again. That's not a fucking strategy, okay? A strategy is, okay, if he does this move, I'm going to do this to cover my base because if he reacts to this, I got something for him, down the line. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what that is, man. You know what I mean? These guys, man, you know, they're a bunch of bozos, man. They need to get the fuck up out of here, man, with that bullshit. You know what I mean?